Hi YouTube, this is Giselle Barreto Fetterman, and here is my keynote at the 2019 Going Deep Summit.
This all has seemingly gone off without a hitch so far. I deserve very, very little of that credit. Most of that credit should be aimed directly at Tori. Directly at Tori, Director of Operations for Piper, the absolute mastermind behind all the logistics of today. I could not have done today without her. Incredibly helpful, gone above and beyond, and now she's going to come up and introduce our next speaker.
Hi, everyone. So Piper is growing, and that's why I'm here. I was holding some interviews earlier this week with potential apprentices for our summer program. Aaron and I were sitting and coming up with some questions for what we wanted to know about our apprentices, and we decided that one of our favorites was, is there someone that you look up to as an icon, or is there someone that you think is iconic to you? So I asked that question last week to an apprentice, and at the end of the interview, whenever I asked her if she had any questions, she asked me who my icon was, and I said Giselle Fetterman. So it is my pleasure to introduce to you the Second Lady of Pennsylvania, the founder of the Free Store Braddock, the co-founder of 412 Food Rescue, and For Good Pittsburgh, a mother, a sister, a wife, and the best hugger in Pennsylvania, Giselle Barreto Fetterman.
Today I'm hugging less. I'm getting over the flu, as you can hear it. So I'm gonna I have cooties, so I'm sorry. I'm really, happy to see this warm room of faces. I think a big part of being gentle is being honest, with yourself and what you're feeling. It's been a really rough week, so I wanted to say that first. Tough times never last, but tough people do. I hate this quote. I hate it. I've always hated it, and I don't like even using the word hate, but it feels exclusionary. I would read that and I would feel, where do I go? I'm not tough. Do we just get lost? There's no hope for us? And I think every time I see it, it makes me mad, because where does Team Soft go, right? We have a place too, and I think we'll last too, and there's just not one way to be. What happens to the rest of us that don't connect with something like this? And I've long kind of struggled to find my place in this world that's really tough. I remember in college, working corporate for a little bit, and I was in a board meeting, and there was the CEO and CFO, and they're all yelling at each other, and I started to cry. It wasn't a good first impression. And then I told them that they were being so unkind to each other and they needed to stop. And they looked like, who's this kid talking like a child? And to me, that was never normal, right? And I think that, I've struggled with finding, how do I become effective in this world that celebrates the tough? And tough is really great, and I wish I had some of that, and I admire that in those that do. But I think there's hope for us too. So this is one I really like. Be a lion, I will still be water. I connect with this one a little bit more, and it's been something that has kind of guided me at times. Cried in public. How many of us have cried in public? Okay. In a board meeting, at a speech, at a place that didn't make sense. I'll probably cry a few times today. But when you hear people talk about that, it's usually shared in a way oh my God, I'm so ashamed. I was just at this thing and I was crying. It was the worst thing that has ever happened. And it's so beautiful and it's so human. We should cry more. Let's all cry together, right now. Let's do it. This one I like a lot, right? Because, I really believe in loving people first. I believe in meeting people and loving them. And then you get to know them later. And I think that makes things a lot easier. If you enter a room always assuming positive intent, if you enter conversations assuming positive intent, I think that not only changes kind of the climate in the space, but it changes you. It changes how you react to something being said to you. It makes you think twice. Was that said to offend me? Was that maybe just something I misunderstood? It creates that. But loving the nice people, the great people, is really easy. But how do we challenge ourselves to love the ones that maybe are the unlovables or the really hard to love? I tell people my favorite place to sit in a plane is in the middle seat. Does anyone like sitting in the middle seat? You do too? Okay, so it's only me and you. It's my favorite place to sit in the plane. And it's great because it's always available, because everyone wants an aisle or a window. But it's the best. Why do you like sitting in the middle of the seat? Oh my God, yes, exactly, thank you. That's the best. So, excuse me. So, if you've never sat in the middle by choice, please choose it next time, because magical things happen when you sit in the middle of the plane, and he can agree, right? So, a few times this has happened to me. If you're lucky enough, it might happen to you too. So I've had two strangers sleeping on my shoulders, right? And like one drooled a little bit. It was really special. Like, that's a really vulnerable moment that they're sharing with you. That's something really beautiful and really human. And it's happened a few times. And like when the food comes, I love food, but I won't even move because I don't want to wake them up, right? Because we're having this moment. And it's really special. So I would recommend you guys all try that sometime. It's a really special way to connect with someone you may not have otherwise. Okay. And then people will say, but no, that's easy for you to say all these things, Giselle, that you just love people, and people are probably always nice to you. Yeah. Okay, who do you guys think gets more hate mail at our house? Me or my husband, who's an actual elected official? You. Me. So these are some gems. These come pretty regularly. Where did you buy your wife? I get those pretty weekly. Go back to your country. I'm going to call ICE on you. I lived here as an undocumented immigrant for nearly a decade, and I've been very open about that. So I get these, pretty much all the time. And it's okay. I cry for sure. It hurts my feelings. It makes me sad. But I remember that it's not personal, right? They don't hate me, Giselle. They hate me, the immigrant, or me, their idea of what this thing is that they don't like. And that's something we can work with, right? Because that is where a conversation can begin. Because they're in pain, right? This is someone who's in pain. And pain makes us do terrible things. It allows us to behave in terrible ways. And pain that isn't addressed, it manifests itself in really, really ugly ways. But if there's room for conversation, then there's hope. This is one I really love. The dog is talking to the vacuum cleaner. And this is an adorable illustration, but I think it does a really good job of communicating something really important. It was mid-February last month. I had an older gentleman, a vet. He came to the free store, and he needed food. We helped him with food. He needed a coat. We were all really kind to him, as we are to anyone who comes in. And we got to talking, and he told me about how much he hates immigrants, right to my face. And it's one of those moments that, how can I respond to this? Because this is an opportunity that it can go two very different ways. And, I wanted to understand where this came from. He was very polite, he was very nice. And then he added that he hates all the other immigrants, all the other ones. I'm okay, though, because I just helped him with stuff. but everyone else is not. And I wanted to understand, where did that come from? Like, were you taught this? Like, where did this begin? Have you always felt this way? And after a while, he was really open to talking to me, and I was grateful for that. It came out that he was a veteran, and he couldn't find work, and Fox News told him that my people were taking all the jobs. And he has carried that. He has carried that hatred. He had never met an undocumented person. He said, you don't look like one of those people, right? And it was a really difficult conversation to have. We had in the middle of the free store, busy hours, everyone's working. But it ended with a hug and an apology and kind of a good place to start a conversation. And if we're not willing and open to having those conversations, then it's only going to continue. Thank you. This one is one I really love. Water is the softest thing, yet it can penetrate mountains and earth. This shows clearly the principle of softness overcoming hardness. I want to show all the good ones to make up for that terrible one in the beginning. And then I started to question effectiveness, right? How can I be effective? It was like this big struggle I had. How can I be effective in my work being soft in this really tough world? And I kind of had to summarize my work and look through it. You know, this is when we launched the Free Store. And people would say, you can give things out for free to people. And I was like, what do you mean? Why not? Oh, you just can't do that. Well, why? Because no one's done that. And people are going to take advantage of you and all these terrible things. And I always believe that if you expect the most out of people, they're going to rise and meet your expectations like every time. People are amazing, and they will do that every time. And when we launched, these were our rules. These were our only rules. Be kind, take only what you need, and pay it forward. Our currency, hugs. In the last 7 years, we've been open 7 years. We now have 13 locations across the state. We serve hundreds of thousands of people, entirely volunteer run. And there's no one who comes and takes advantage of us. People come and want to give more and want to give back. And you see the folks with the little, like, who have the least that want to give back the most. It's this really, truly beautiful giving. You know, generosity is contagious. And we get to see that, and we get to experience humanity every day. And I think about if I had listened to everyone who said, that's not going to work, and I would have lost out on something really beautiful and special. That's our sign when you walk into the Free Store. And that's one of the comments that was left on our page. I was at the lowest point in my life when I came to visit. The volunteers helped me to begin rebuilding, and we're the only ones there during the darkest time. I will never forget the sign they had out front. It welcomed me. I'm like, soft is good. We can do some things being soft. These are some of the signs we have throughout town. We wanted to put up beautiful signs because we see signs telling us not to park here, and you're going to get a ticket, and you're going to get a fine, and those are necessary, but they're annoying. I want cute signs that make people happy. Foreign to Food Rescue. We feed a lot of people, and we save a lot of food, and it's volunteers like you guys that do it, that we believe that you guys would do that, and you guys believed in our work, and here we are. Is crying in public a sign of strength? Yes, in blue, and yes, but in yellow. So yes, it's okay. We all need to do it more. We need to be proud of when we do it. It's really great to be human. It's really great to be vulnerable. It's really great to be owning of your humanness. Hello Hijab, this was another project that we launched. It was at the height of the Muslim ban and all these terrible things happening. A Muslim friend of mine had her hijab pulled in Oakland, right in the university center. And you think you're one person or you're a tiny unit. Like, how can you respond to such giant and ugly hate in a gentle and loving way? And we launched this initiative that went national and international. We created Barbie-compatible hijabs. And we work to diversify playtime and have kids learn from a young age that, here's my Barbie. My Barbie now has a hijab, and now she doesn't, and she's still my Barbie. It didn't change my doll at all. And we received letters from all over the world that were beautiful. We launched a space for women to run their businesses out of. We saw that there was a need for that. There was an abandoned building. We came together and solved another need that was necessary in the community. Young women, mostly single moms, mostly women of color, who now have full-time businesses running out of a building that was abandoned. And this one's my favorite of them all. Don't cross oceans for people who wouldn't cross a puddle for you. You see that all the time shared on Facebook. And every time I see that, I'm like, that's so mean. I don't like that. But no, you should do it. You should cross oceans, love people, all people, no conditions, no wondering whether or not they're worthy. Cross oceans, climb mountains, because life is about what you give. And that's the one that makes me the happiest of all. And I think I still have a voice, but it's running out. So that's all I got. Thank you. So you're going to do that part?
Can you handle questions? Is that cool?
Yeah,
I'm going to leave this for you.
Okay.
Do we have any questions? I'll go fix that mic.
Giselle, thank you for sharing your voice with us and sharing HeartSpeak. So I have a question. I don't want to generalize on behalf of the men in the room, but being soft is actually really hard. And so my question for you, aside from John, who is the man or a man or men who exemplify gentle leadership to you, and why?
For me, it's been Mr. Rogers. I mean, in my connection to him, I love him. And I actually learned English watching Mr. Rogers. So I have a really deep connection with him from when I was an immigrant kid learning the language. I would watch his show with closed captioned, and I would listen to him and read it. And I learned English completely from Mr. Rogers. And I think he's carried that. And he crossed political parties. I mean, today that's non-existent. He was just, I think he is the ultimate example of that.
Any other questions while we got her?
You're not well, and this is quite a platform here. But I can't not ask you to reflect on this week, to give us where you are with it. And I'd also like to hear what you have to say about this group being here, the Hollander group being where they are, and how we can bring those together.
Yeah, absolutely. So, thank you. Yeah, it's been a really rough week, especially given last night. And Tammy and I were together upstairs talking about that because we live this, right? And we believe this. And then you're faced with such massive injustice, right? But you have to keep going. I was at the courtroom yesterday. I had the flu still yesterday. So I will, I think, be able to process all of this in a few days. I'm still working through it. As for the groups, I would love to invite you guys to come out and visit my ladies in Braddock. Men are welcome. Your ideas, you can share them with them. It's a women co-working space. We have some brilliant ladies there doing some amazing work that I'm sure there's room to partner. Thank you.
Give it up for Giselle Fetterman, everyone.
Thanks for watching. Please let me know your favorite part in the comments.